Welcome back to TV Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Today I wanted to talk about how Adult Swim understands what makes a good television network or good TV network. Because they absolutely do. Out of all the TV networks that exist right now in the year 2024, Adult Swim is doing fantastic. Why? Because they're doing the exact same thing that they've been doing since they launched back in, 2001, I want to say? Yeah, around there. Which is good, original, and acquired adult cartoon programming, good visual bumpers, a good schedule. They're doing all of it right. They're giving people programming that they want. They're investing in creators, which is funny because Cartoon Network, the channel that basically hosts them, is doing the exact opposite during its run of the day, which ends at 5 o'clock because then Adult Swim starts with Checkered Past. Checkered Past, by the way, being another good decision made by Adult Swim to invoke nostalgia. It gives the early 2000s, the kids who grew up in the early 2000s like myself, it gives us some nostalgia. It gives us a couple hours to watch some classics and unwind with them, and then it goes straight into the Adult Swim block and everything that comes with it, and the variety of programming throughout the evening into the early morning. I've often argued that Adult Swim should take over the entirety of Cartoon Network because it's that good. However, I don't think Warner really wants that to happen, the television division at Warner, but still, it's performing tremendously, to the point where they keep cutting Cartoon Network's hours and replacing it with Adult Swim because it's just performing that much better. Because they've got the old Cartoon Network philosophy, and they never let go of it. Whereas with Cartoon Network, it's just, towards the very end of the run, they'll show something more classic by this point, like regular show. But at the end of the day, they just rely on the same 2 or 3 shows over and over again, and not even that in some cases. Some cases, I've seen where it's all Teen Titans Go. Whether you love or hate Teen Titans Go, that's what they broadcast. I've seen times where they try to mix it up with more classics. Just recently I saw they did What's New Scooby-Doo before Checkered Past. That was pretty cool, because What's New Scooby-Doo was a good show. At least I thought it was. But Adult Swim understands you gotta invest in creators for better or worse. They've had a lot of duds. We all have seen that they've had plenty of duds. But then for every dud, there's a Rick and Morty, there's a Smiling Friends, there's a Robot Chicken, there's a Eric Andre show, there's a... you name it. For every dud, there's a success. There's Harvey Birdman, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, some of the classics, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which is making a comeback. For every dud, there's a success. And they understand that you have to take that risk in order to find the next thing. And Cartoon Network's not willing to do that. Nickelodeon's not willing to do that. Disney Channel's not willing to do that. FXX is not willing to do that. They just showcase old adult animated shows throughout the evening. And occasional movies on the weekend, because it was a second FX channel. It's the only other channel that I really watch. I go back and forth between those two. Occasionally Nicktoons if I'm in the mood for some SpongeBob. But SpongeBob is so overplayed, it's hard to enjoy it unless it's the classic seasons. But they get it. Television channels should be doing what Adult Swim is doing. And they're leading the charge. They're one of the only reasons to own linear television for a lot of people. They're that good. There's constant new programming. There's classic programming that people love. It's great. You think Comedy Central would start to take that route, and hopefully once Skydance gets in charge, that they'll start looking at that more intently and seeing that that's a model that works. But other networks aren't. Very few networks are investing in adult animation at all, because they just don't see it as viable. Meanwhile, Adult Swim is built off the whole freaking genre. So yeah, Adult Swim understands what makes a good TV network, and their leadership is making the right moves, and I hope they continue to make the right moves, because they found success. They've noticed, hey, it isn't broke, so we're not going to fix it. We're going to have the same style of bumpers, we're going to have the same styles of show, we're going to invest in new shows, and we're going to see what works and what doesn't, and we're just going to keep trudging along. If something fails, then we'll find something else. It's working out great for them. The fact that they took the risk on Zach Hadel and Mike, what's his name? The guy who voices Pim in Smiling Friends. I can't think of his last name. The fact that they invested in Smiling Friends at all. That's such a milestone. These guys are two animation YouTubers, and they invested in them, and they produced for them a short but amazing show. They're paying attention to what people want, and that is spectacular. They're setting the standards. Also, MeTV Toons is doing a lot of the same stuff with their new channel, although that's still, they're struggling to find reach right now because it's in its very early stages of just rolling out. But once it finally hits the major markets and then the smaller markets, I think it's going to be a tremendous success. Television, there is a good chance that in the next couple of years we will see a small television revival. I really think that it's on the horizon. I think people are going to start going back to linear television over things like streaming, and hopefully we'll see streaming start to incorporate actual TV channels for people who don't want to pay for cable services or for IPTV services. Who knows? Maybe people will just start to get the cheaper IPTV services that carry the networks that they want. Regardless of what people choose to watch TV, people will start to go back to television as long as there's stuff that's worth watching. And channels like Adult Swim are demonstrating this by having great lineups and actually focusing on what people want and having an atmosphere that's largely unchanged since its inception. They're not trying to necessarily chase trends. They're just really paying attention to what it is people want and trying to implement it. Like I said, it doesn't mean that every show's a hit. I'm not crazy about My Adventures with Superman. I've got it on right now. There's that Psy-Cop show that looks really bizarre. I don't know how people feel about it, but hey, if it's working, it's working. But then there's Smiling Friends. There's Rick and Morty, which I'm not crazy about Rick and Morty either, but you can't deny its success. There's Robot Chicken, Eric Andre show. I don't know if they really haven't played the real classics like Space Ghost and Harvey Birdman, but I've heard that Harvey Birdman is coming back. I'd be excited for that. There's so many things that they can do. The sky's the limit. They understand that adult animation is a viable medium because there are a bunch of people my age, some younger, some older, who really enjoy animation long into our adult years. It's not just a child's medium. It's a medium for everybody who enjoys it. I mean, these things didn't start out for children. They started out for general audiences. It's just a medium. Japan understands this better than anybody. But Adult Swim is the closest thing we have to anime in the West, or embracing animation for older audiences in the West. And it's great. I can't say enough great things about it without just utterly repeating myself. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think Adult Swim is truly setting the standard for television networks going forward? Do you think there's any room for them to improve? Is there stuff that you would like to see from Adult Swim that they don't yet have? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching this edition of TV Talk. This has been Super Koopa TV. I will see you next time. God bless. Have a good one. Peace.